Hello, my name is Malachi Scates.
And I'm Ashton Scates. I've been attending ABCs for a bit over a year now, and Malachi's been coming for about 4 months.
Growing up, I had a heavy influence by the church in my life. A group of parents who had been going to the same church since they were in high school. So as soon as I was born, pretty much, I got involved in this church. Between my parents and just like my family life and just my whole family as a whole, because pretty much like 60 of us lived in like a 20-minute area. So it was like this thing that just happened. So it was really cool to be able to experience that fellowship with so many of my family members.
So growing up, I have my parents and my brother, and I grew up in a Christian home. I really love my family. I would say that I definitely believed in God. I believed that he was real. I believed in Jesus. I'd been told all the things that Jesus did for me, and I believed those things to be true. But I think a lot of it was head knowledge, but I don't think I fully had the heart knowledge behind it, if you know what I mean. I definitely was no, I definitely believe in God. I didn't quite understand why I needed Jesus from an outward perspective. I had everything I could need. But I think part of me always knew there was a little something missing. And so in middle school, I really started to struggle with mental health, in the forms of anxiety, but especially depression. I just had this thought of, I have to keep it all together. I have to be this perfect child and, just have my life together. I'm a Christian, I'm supposed to have my life together, I have God in my life. So I think a lot of people in my life had no idea that I was struggling as deeply as I was, and eventually, I don't know, the hopelessness and the frustration just all kind of built up to a point where I was just kind of God made a mistake, but God's not answering me, I don't understand why this isn't going away in my life, and just having a lot of self-doubt, but also just doubts about my existence, and so I had decided that I was going to take my life, because I felt that that was the only way forward, and also just the only way to stop how I was feeling. I had written out a note to my friends. I don't know why, but I felt like they deserved to know what I was going to do and why. But I only emailed this letter to my friends or people in my life that I'd grown up with. I didn't tell my parents, didn't tell my brother. I don't know, I just couldn't bring myself to tell them, and I think that was automatically a sticking point for me of if they knew and if I knew the pain that this was going to cause them, I wouldn't be able to go through with it. And I think in the back of my mind I knew that, but I had sent this email out, and one of the people I sent it to was my neighbor who I'd grown up with, and I was friends with her. She was the one that actually shared it with her father, and then her father was friends with my dad. She cared enough about me to say something, and he called my dad and told him. Because my parents found out, they sat me down, had a conversation, of course. It just felt like the Holy Spirit was really speaking through them to me, and I think that was the first time I really felt and understood God's love for me. But also, in my heart, I saw my deep broken need for Jesus. At that moment, I had fully had, I guess, mind and heart knowledge combined, and that's what I would say is my saving moment. And then obviously from there, my faith has grown a lot.
Growing up in the church, I feel like there was always this implied understanding of what it meant to know the Lord, at least in my family. I think my parents did do a very good job of explaining what it meant to have a relationship with God and how that was going to be a part of my life. I think my parents did a very good job of planting seeds in me from a young age. And when I was growing up, I had many opportunities to do things like youth group and VBS, and the one that really I think allowed me to take this step was the opportunity to go to Rock Lake Christian Assembly Camp. I had the opportunity to sit down with one of the people at the camp, and that was one of the times where I feel like everything that my parents had talked to me about started to set in. I was really struggling with something at this camp. Growing up, I had a big problem with getting bullied, and that definitely made me feel worthless. It made me feel like I needed to find my value in other things. I know I started from a very, very young age, and this was a theme throughout my entire middle school and high school career. I started to look for value in things like sports and just accomplishments and just things that I could do myself to try to combat these lies that people were continually pouring into my life. So I brought all of this up to this camp counselor, and we were able to talk about just the way that like Jesus gives me value, that is where my whole value comes from. And the idea of grace and the idea of being able to be forgiven of my sins, I know, like, because of these things that I was trying to do to give myself value, it was like, well, how can I be good? How can I do things to like make myself good? And just learning, there's nothing I can do to make myself good. It all comes from Jesus. Going back home after that, had plans to get baptized, and I got baptized that following Sunday.
So I had really accepted the Lord after age 13, after that moment in my life. And from there, I just really had this genuine hunger. So I went to college. I went to Central Michigan University. And while I was there, Crew, which is a campus ministry group, they were doing tabling. That's when I like really fully became plugged in. And through Crew has been great in my life and helping me grow. Crew is very evangelism focused. And I just came from the upbringing of, I don't know, like, if missions is a thing for everyone, you know, like, it's okay to be a believer and, like, to express that you're a believer, but as far as, like, actually actively approaching people and sharing your faith, that's for missionaries. But Crew is definitely, like, no, like, Matthew, literally in the gospel that Jesus tells us, like, go and make disciples of all nations. That's a command, it's not a suggestion. But then, Crew is how we met.
Yeah. So I joined Crew, and through Crew, we're still in the same friend group. All of our friends were there, and we started to, I would say, find interest in one another. And Crew, through that, we were able to date and like grow together in like a way that glorified God.
We got married in June.
Yeah.
So pretty recent, like 3 months now. So with going to ABC with my family, I just like really fell in love with this church of, you know, coming off of Crew and all the things that we had learned there, and then coming here to a congregation that I really felt just completely reflected that heart posture that Crew had of, we're missionally focused, we're focused on fellowship. Like, it just really felt like people here knew us too. When I first came here, at Crew, I had helped come up with a different way to like market. It's going to be connect, grow, go. Was our like motto. And then literally I came here and your guys' mission statement is connect, grow, share, which is like basically the exact same thing. And I was like, wow, I don't know if that's like divine intervention or what, but I think this is the place we need to be.
We obviously want church to be a part of our life. We believe that it's a command from God to be a part of a church body. We believe that it's something that's very important to your relationship with God. And as like the husband in our relationship, I wanted us to have like our pursued church in like membership at a place that we really trust with our relationships with the Lord, because I mean this is a trust thing for us, like to just go and ask this body to like accept us into their membership.
As far as how Jesus has impacted my life, when I came to know him after that season of my life where I struggled really heavily with depression, in that moment the Lord really transformed my life radically. And even in hard seasons, like I do still struggle with mental health issues. Like that is a part of my story. And I always think of like when Paul always talks about the thorn in his side, like I really feel like this is something that the Lord's put in my life to be the thorn in my side, because it continues to have me run after him. Yeah, as far as Jesus changes everything, like my entire life has been transformed for the better. And it just continues to keep getting sweeter and sweeter as I just continue to grow in my relationship with the Lord. So yeah, Jesus changes everything.
Jesus has dramatically changed my life. I think that if you were to look at me from 10, 12, 15, 17, 21, like you will just see so many dramatic changes throughout my life. It's so unrecognizable who I was before, and he has completely changed my life. He's given me desires that I didn't know I had. He's given me passions that are founded on his own heart. I'm completely unrecognizable to who I was. And I think it's just so much evidence that Jesus changes everything.